Knowledge for Men, episode 42. Welcome to knowledgeformen.com, where boys turn into men, where men turn into leaders, into lions, the ferocious few who stand strong, a place where you grow to become the man you were born to be. It's time to take massive action towards the life you want. Get the health, get the relationships, business, and career you've always dreamed of. Achieve a level of success and happiness that you've been searching for so many years. Life has given you enough, and it's time to take a stand and take full control of your life. Stand with us as we interview the most inspiring and successful leaders to give you real-world advice to crush life and awaken the sleeping giant inside of you. All right, I just want to say thank you for being a listener of the Knowledge for Men podcast. I couldn't have done this without you. The success has just been growing and growing ever since I launched in November 2013. The guests are lined up for another 3 months, and I've got quite the shows ahead. I appreciate your support, and I hope that it's been a fun journey for you, and you're growing with every episode, every guest, every question is helping you get closer towards becoming that man you want to become and helping you get where you want to be in life. I just want to say thank you. It means a lot to me for you just to be listening. Let's keep going. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Ezra Firestone, blogger, podcaster, e-commerce expert, speaker, and founder of smartmarketer.com. Ezra, happy to have you on the show.
Thanks, dude. Happy to be here.
All right, you know the drill. Let's go in with your favorite success quote and why.
Well, I don't know about a success quote, but my favorite quote is serve the world unselfishly and profit. And it's the tagline for my business. And I think that really the only way that you truly can profit is if you are in service of others. And so if you have your businesses and your life and your attention on adding value and serving other people, then you end up profiting. And I can share some real world practical examples on this podcast of how that works in the real world. So it's not just kind of like this ethereal meta concept, but that's my quote.
So focusing on giving value, and through that, you're going to be profitable.
Well, like you have to be taken care of in order to take care of other people, right? So some people have like these concepts and frames around money and success and like feel like, our society promotes that it's bad and it's wrong and you shouldn't want to acquire wealth and that kind of thing. But really, if you think about it, you can only give from your own surplus. So if you want to help and take care of other people and add value to the world, you must be well taken care of yourself. Because from a position of scarcity and from a position of lack in your own life, you cannot serve other people. So you have to be coming from a place of surplus in order to do that. So that's why it's serve the world unselfishly and profit. Because you must profit. You must be well taken care of in order to serve the world. So they work together. It's a yin-yang, two sides of the same coin.
I like that framework. So just coming into business with the idea of serving and genuinely trying to help others succeed, and indirectly you're going to earn money and profit at the same time, versus coming into business with the idea of just solely trying to make money.
Well, I mean, like we all have the desire to acquire wealth, right? But if that is our sole motivation, if we're not adding any value to the marketplace, if we have no unique value to add and we're just coming in trying to make a dollar, those types of businesses don't last. They work well. Look, I used to be in businesses like that, CPA marketing and businesses that were really just kind of a hustle to generate cash. They didn't add any value to the world. They didn't have any intrinsic value. They weren't real assets, so they would fizzle out and die. If you want to build something that's real, that lasts long, it has to be based on some kind of value addition to your marketplace. And the best way to do that is to take a look at the communities that you engage with. Perhaps you're into CrossFit, perhaps you're into yoga, perhaps you're into a certain type of diet and lifestyle, and look at the problems, topics, and conversations that those communities are having, and then engage with them around that. So, I'm in the MMA community. I train jiu-jitsu and judo and boxing and wrestling. And so I engage with that group of people, and I see different problems that they have in their lives with regard to the type of training products that they can get a hold of. And so then I create a unique offering that covers or addresses that specific problem, or I create content that's interesting to those people and engage them with that content and then make them relevant offers and that kind of thing.
So Ezra, are you training jiu-jitsu or are you marketing to the jiu-jitsu community?
Well, I do both, right? I train, and because I train, I know the types of problems that we run into because I am in that community. So it's really easy to serve the community. My point is, take a look at the communities that you're in because you have intimate knowledge of what those problems that those communities are having and how you can help them. And oftentimes it's in the form of content. Like, look at this podcast. This podcast is a content marketing business. You're engaging with a group of people about topics and conversations that are interesting and relevant to their lives, and people who find this information valuable follow this podcast, and then from there you make them offers that you believe would be relevant to their lives and improve their lives. But you start with value. You start with engaging them with content that moves them forward and helps them in their lives and in their mindsets and in their businesses and in their relationships. And then once they trust you and know you and follow your content, then you say, hey, I have this thing that I think you might be interested in. Check it out. If you have coaching or consulting or something like that. But it starts with some kind of a value addition first.
All right. Wow. It's very clear that you have an intense background in marketing. So I want to know, how did you get started with what you do? Let's go into your journey of your story.
Sure. In the context of this podcast, I think it's more of like business, right? But I grew up on a hippie commune in the Bay Area of California on the North Shore of Oahu, Hawaii. And this was a group of people who've been living together for 45 years, researching alternative lifestyle. What does it take to live pleasurably with a group of people? How do you win at a relationship across the gender line or otherwise? What things come up when you're relating with people? Communication, jealousy, money, possession, sensuality, sexuality. Like, how do you handle those things and have a successful relationship of any kind? And so I grew up in this sort of alternative environment, which framed and shaped the way that I think about the world, which has really helped me in business because it changed the way that I view business and money and that kind of thing. And so when I got into business, which I think is what would be most helpful and relevant to the group of folks who are listening to our podcast. By the way, we love you and thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with us. I really appreciate, really do think that the most valuable thing that you have in your life is your time. And when you choose to spend a little bit of it with me, I really appreciate that. And will do my very best to make sure that the stuff that I'm talking to you about is actually relevant to your life and can help you. So I think that we all get started in this entrepreneurial journey searching for some form of freedom, right? Like, we want freedom of time, or we want freedom of money, or we want freedom of location, or we want to not work where we are currently working, right? And when I got started online, it was in search of freedom of time. I did not want to be working behind a desk 60 hours a week in the way that I was. And I'd started off as a professional poker player, playing poker at underground clubs in New York City, eventually quit that because it was really a degenerative lifestyle, took a real job, and then was miserable because I didn't enjoy the way I was spending my time. And so that's how I got started online. And I got started in the visibility generation category. So with search engine optimization, learning how to generate visibility for different products and offers. Because when you look at a business, you really need three things in order for it to be successful. You need some form of visibility. And so that's people who know that you exist. And you can do that through Facebook advertising, through search engine optimization, through social media, through traditional advertising on like Google AdWords and stuff like that, through joint ventures, right? There's all kinds of ways of generating visibility for whatever it is you have to sell. And then the next thing that you need is conversion. So like, you need the people who find out about you to actually take you up on the offers that you're making. And that's like making sure that your messaging is relevant to them, making sure that you actually understand what it is they want, persuasion, landing page psychology, that kind of thing. And then the third thing that you need, once they know about you and once they've taken you up on the offer that you made, you need to actually deliver them value and provide a good enough experience and do good enough follow-up marketing that they want to come back and do business with you again. So repeat business. So visibility, conversion, and repeat business. And those are really the three areas that I specialize in, which is why I can be so effective marketing any type of business, be it a services business like MMA gym, or a physical product business like my skincare lines, or an information marketing or content marketing business like my blog, because I understand those three different parts of business cycle. It doesn't matter what I'm selling because every business needs those three things.
Yeah, just by the way you're talking, I can tell that you're really passionate about marketing. I can just feel it just by talking to you. I mean, it sounds like previously you had a corporate job, or it sounds like you're in...
Well, I was working at a yoga studio, bro, so I don't know how corporate it was, but it was no fun.
Okay. Anyways, you are really passionate about what you do. So when did you have the aha moment where you transitioned out of that yoga studio and went into marketing and you're like, wow, this is it. This is what I do. This is what I like.
Well, I started, I'm into alternative thinking, right? And like taking a look at why do I think the things I do? Like, where is this viewpoint coming from? Is it social conditioning? Do I think this way because I've been programmed to think this way by society? Do I think this way because it's a viewpoint that I actually have and all this stuff? And so, one of the concepts that I began to learn about when I first started learning about business and entrepreneurship was the concept of not trading time for money. And the only thing I ever understood about making money was like I spend my time doing something and I get paid for it, right? That's your traditional job. You work 8 hours, you get paid whatever, right? And so I started learning about building systems that generated money for me that I could put time into building the system. And then, I could go to sleep and that website is still open all night making money for me, right? So it's a system that generates money that I build rather than me actually putting my time in. And I feel like I got started with regard to entrepreneurship and business, just looking at different ways of thinking about money before I even got into tactics and strategies. Like, how does this work? What is the difference between time for money and systems and automation and that kind of thing? I don't remember what your question was, by the way. I'm just talking now.
And you're on a great rant here. I didn't want to stop you. It's highly relevant towards my audience. Don't worry. I was asking, what was the aha moment or the light bulb moment that you had which led you down the path of entrepreneurship?
I got it. Yes. Okay. So here's the deal. So initially, my drive and passion came from I was not enjoying what I was doing, and I discovered that there was a better way. Like, I don't need to be working this job 8 hours a day. Like, I can build a system myself that will make money for me, and I can do my own thing, and I can like be independent. And I did a moonlight business, right? So I worked all day, and then I'd come home and work 2 hours a night on my e-commerce business. And so my passion was coming from a place of pain. I was experiencing pain in a certain part of my life, which was a motivator for me to change something, right? And so that's where it starts for most people, is they're experiencing some form of pain, and that pain motivates them to make a change of some kind. Because what happens, here's what's interesting about life. The things that you put your attention on, you tend to like and enjoy and do more of, and those things tend to grow. Like, if you ignore your significant other, if you ignore your close and personal relationships, those things go away. If you put attention on them, they grow and thrive. If you put attention on your business, it grows and thrives. And as things grow and thrive, and as you experience success in certain areas of your life, you like it more because you're winning in that area, so you put more attention on it, right? So I started putting a bunch of attention on like business and entrepreneurship and building my own business, and like I started to see results, and so I put more attention on it, and I just kind of got really into the process as I was doing it. It was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. As I kept putting attention on it, I kept seeing things happen, I kept getting more interested in it, and I became passionate about the process of marketing. I don't care about what it is I'm marketing. I care about the process of marketing something in general. And then what happens is once you reach a certain level of success, once you get that financial freedom that you were looking for in the first place, and you're no longer motivated by pain, you have the freedom, you have the money, you have the time freedom, you have the location freedom, right? You have all those things that you worked so hard to get, which are so attainable, by the way, for someone who's listening to this who feels like, oh my God, I could never get there. I've been at this 8 or 9 years now. Dang. I don't know where. Now I'm lost on whatever I was saying.
Ezra,
it was a good
happened?
Man. I was on a good run there.
You were.
That's all right. Do you remember what I was saying?
Yeah, you were sharing with us how you got started in entrepreneurship because you were motivated by pain.
Oh, motivated by pain, right? Okay. So then what happens? So the next thing that happens is once you're no longer motivated by pain, and you have everything that you were looking for, what tends to happen to a lot of people is they realize that there's a bigger game afoot. And that bigger game is to support other people who are on this same journey. Because notice how, like, when you talk to someone about something they're super interested in, you like cannot shut them up about it. They like really want to tell you about their molecular biology or their mixed martial arts matches or whatever it is they're super into. Like, people will tell you about the stuff they're into. Like, I will tell you about marketing because I'm super into it. And when I have people who want to hear about this stuff, I can't shut up about it because I love it, right? So you realize that there's a bigger game afoot, which is supporting other people on the same journey, because entrepreneurs, business owners, marketers, people who are out there doing their own things are the ones who stimulate economies, are the ones who stimulate communities and create jobs in communities. And we're like sort of the movers and shakers in our community. And now I have this business where I engage with this community of people and share my research with them. And it's really fun to do that. So that drives me now, is that I have this community of people who really love the content that I put out and are engaged with the topics and conversations and ideas that I like to talk about. And so it's really pleasurable for me to continue doing that. So that's my passion now. And it started from a place of pain, and it's moved to being motivated by pleasure. And I think that tends to happen once you've gotten rid of that pain point that was your initial motivation. Okay, now I'll answer whatever else your questions are.
All right. I like this story. You came into this motivated by pain in search of freedom. And once you found that freedom, you found something that you actually liked, and it kind of opened you up and it opened the doors to something much broader and something much bigger, which kind of allowed you to push yourself through those challenges. I'm sure it wasn't easy when you first started.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I wasn't skilled when I started. I was terrible. It's like learning a language or playing an instrument. Like, all these skills are attainable. You just have to practice at them, and you don't need a whole lot of money to do it. And I can give you a tip, by the way. If you are considering getting started in your own thing, starting your own business, or doing anything on your own, the one skill set that you should learn is how to do advertising properly, how to generate visibility for whatever your product, service, or offering is. And the one method that you should use to start with is Facebook advertising. And I have a free course, 2 hours, that teaches you Facebook advertising, exactly how to do it step by step. And we can post a link to that course. It's on the Shopify blog. I did a course for Shopify, and we can post a link under this podcast that'll teach you that. And that'll be really the first step for you to get started, is understanding concepts of generating visibility for different offers. And like, you really can attain this skill set. And if you've got $50 a month to play with, or $100 a month to play with, you've got plenty of money to use to begin your journey of becoming an online entrepreneur.
All right, I'll be putting that in the show notes on my website, knowledgeformen.com. Don't worry, just look for the Ezra Firestone podcast show notes. And Ezra, you said you've been doing this 8 or 9 years, and I'm sure that there's been some challenges along the way. Can you share some major failure that you've had and how you overcame that?
Yeah, I mean, I experience failures quite often, right? Like, I've had a lot of things that didn't work, but let's forget about the things that don't work, right? Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail, right? You will have things that fail, and that's okay. But the key here is, and I made this mistake. One time I almost went bankrupt about 5 or so years ago, because I got too emotionally attached to an offer that I'd created. It was back when I was doing a lot of information marketing, where I would create like a sales page for an informational product that had like upsell on the back end and perhaps a subscription program on the back end. But the initial offer was like an ebook of some kind. And I spent a lot of time creating this offer, and I got really emotionally attached to it because I'd put so much energy into it, and I wasn't willing to acknowledge when it had failed, right? You got to be willing to walk away. Like, if something's not working, and you have to stick to a certain amount, because there's also the other side of it, where like, if you don't stick long enough, then you just giving up before the magic happens. But like, if something is clearly failing and you've spent 10 grand on advertising like I had, and you are not profitable, and you've tweaked everything you can, and like, you just have a failure, you've got to be willing to let go of your emotional attachment to it and move on to the next thing. And I think that it's easy for us to get emotionally attached to things that we do because we put so much of our energy into them, but you've got to really let go of your ego and say, okay, hey, this one didn't work, I'll try the next thing. And I had a really hard time with that up front, and I'm a little better about that now, where like, if I see something's just not working, then I'll quickly move on. I won't think that I'm a bad person, or that I suck, or that I'm not good enough because I had one offer that didn't work, or one product or one business that I launched that didn't go the way I wanted. You know, they're not all going to go the way you want, and that's just part of the game.
And what keeps you going when you're experiencing these challenges?
Well, I enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, that'll really definitely help.
I'm also motivated, right? Like, I have a family to support. I don't have kids at this point, but like, I have no other option other than to continue in that. Like, this is the path that I've created for myself, and I really enjoy it, and I'm doing very, very well. And so like, motivation has never been a difficult thing for me. I have always had ambition and desire and the willingness to get up, and like, here's what you need to be successful in any venture: the sheer willpower to sit down, absorb information on a particular topic, implement that information, look at the results, and then do the same thing over again. Absorb some more information, take some action, look at the results. And you need the willpower to do that consistently. Consistency is what creates success in any venture. You want to learn how to play the ukulele well? Play it consistently every day for a year. You're going to be a badass a year from now. It's the same thing with anything you do. It's mastery. The skill that you want to have is the skill of mastery, the skill of being able to master different things, master martial arts, master instruments, master business. And the way that you master things is consistently practicing them, right? That's the only skill you need, is the skill of having the willpower to go ahead and just really practice something consistently until you get better at it. And I don't have a problem with motivation. I know some people do. They feel like, why am I even doing this? It's never really been been a thing for me. I've always had ambition and desire. And I've also never really beat myself up when I didn't get good at something quickly. Like, I'm not coordinated. Took me a while to get good at ukulele, you know what I mean? So I just did it. Like, you're not going to be naturally great at everything. There are things you're going to be naturally awesome at, right? And that's cool. But there's other things that you're not going to be, and you just have to work hard at them. And that's just the way it goes. And like, if you're afraid of hard work, don't do this business model. Do not do your own thing. There are a lot of awesome things that come with being responsible for your own work life. But one of the things that freaks people out is you don't have stability, in as much as if you stop, you're not getting that paycheck. You have to continue doing things. Now, luckily, since I've been at this 8 years, I have systems in place that if I stopped working now for a year or two, I'd be fine, because I've been at it this long and I've built up enough of an asset where it doesn't matter, because I've got so much value behind me at this point. But like, when you just get started, you won't have those assets. You won't be able to just take a couple of years off and still be fine. So I think that you've got to, you got to be willing to work.
You do have to be willing to do the work. You're absolutely right. And no matter how challenging things get, I mean, you've got to just prioritize what you're doing. You've got to just keep moving. And like he said, mastery is the skill that you're going after. I love that. And it's just that consistent attitude to just continue each day. Did you do something? Did you do something that's going to get you closer towards that goal? Well, Ezra, I want to just touch on a little bit about what you said earlier about how you think differently, how you kind of look at the world differently. So I want to get your perspective on what kind of similarities do you see between marketing and life?
Well, I mean, when you look at life and you look at marketing, really what marketing is it's communication. It's being able to communicate to a group of people what you have to offer and why you think it's valuable to them. And if you get good at communication in your life, you will be a good marketer. And you can practice communication in your personal relationships. Like, instead of not telling people what you actually think, tell people how you feel and what you think, and don't be worried about hurting their feelings. Like, be straight with people, be honest with people, be direct in your communications, and say what you mean in your personal relationships. Like, don't be vague and passive aggressive and underhanded. Like, be direct and straight and communicate clearly, and that will help you in your marketing. Marketing is communication. Conversion is communication. And in life, the biggest skill set that you can have, the thing that you can work on that will have you have improvements in your personal relationships. Let's face it, that's the most important thing in your life, is the relationships you have with other people. That's where all the fun is your communication. And if you get good at communication, you will be successful in all areas of your life. And being good at communication requires being willing to feel whatever is happening with you, feel what's going on in your body, feel what's going on in your head, and then express that, and be willing to talk about why you feel the way you do. Hey, the way that, what you did made me feel this way, and this is why. And I'm not upset at you about it, but I just want to express how I feel. Or, man, this made me feel really good. Like, be willing to express how you're feeling. Be straight in your communications, and that will help you in your life.
This is a really good topic. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Well, a lot of marketing is messaging, the types of communications that you make to your community. And your community can tell if you're authentic or not, right? If you're bullshitting them, then you're never going to sell them anything. But if you're like, hey, I found this thing, or like, hey, based on the fact that you enjoy my podcast and you're one of my blog subscribers, I have this offer for you that I think is really going to help you. And here's why I think it's going to help you. And here's why I think that you'll really enjoy this experience. And if you're interested in checking it out, let's have a go at it. Like, I have a blog. I have a subscriber list. I make offers to them, and people buy the stuff that I offer them because it's genuine and it's real and it actually will help them. And I explain to them why I think it would be good for their lives, and I explain to them who I think it won't be good for, and that kind of thing, right? It's the same thing. It's direct communication about what I actually think.
Right. So you're genuinely just trying to add value to the people that you're marketing to. You're really trying to just be genuine, and you think it can really help them. And I like how you have that authentic approach. That's something that I like to do as well. And now, Ezra, it's time for the knowledge round. Are you ready?
Let's roll.
Hey guys, I've been getting asked almost every other day a question about my podcast and how I grew it. How do I get the guests that I get? How am I making money? How did you get the number of downloads you got so quickly? How are you getting so many reviews? And I thought I was helping each person individually. I was really coaching and mentoring a lot of people build up their podcasts or their blogs or their brands. And I thought, why not just build a course a course that would help people build the podcast that I just built, if not even better. So I put together a course called The Podcast Blueprint, and it teaches you exactly step by step what I did to get over 100,000 downloads per month on average, how I get and interview high profile celebrity guests, and how I monetize my podcast. You can check it out at thepodcastblueprint.com, and I do have a discount for you. Use promo code KNOWLEDGE and you'll save $25. So check out thepodcastblueprint.com and you can check out the course that I made, and it walks you through step by step exactly how I build the podcast that I have and how you can too. So I'd love to help you out there. I got a cool discount for you. Promo code KNOWLEDGE at thepodcastblueprint.com. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. All right, Ezra, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling lost or unsure of their purpose?
Slow down, enjoy yourself, find something that you like to do and do that. The reason why you're feeling lost and you don't know what your purpose is you're probably spending all your time in your head thinking about what you should be doing and like freaking out. Get into your body. Go do something that feels good. Go have some fun. It will change your outlook on life. And by the way, one of the things that you'll want to do is experience the things that you think you're working for. Like, why are you working so hard? Would you like to be able to afford a massage every week? Do you want to have time off? Go and figure out what those things are that you want in your life and start figuring out a way to have some level of experience of them right now. Maybe it's once a month. You take a full day off and you just do nothing but hang out, or you have a massage for yourself. Like, go out and enjoy yourself and have some fun and feel good in your body, and it will change, it'll have you not be so worried about what your purpose is and where you're going. And like, your purpose is first and foremost to figure out how to be a happy person. If you're miserable and if you're unhappy, you're no use to the world and you're no use to anyone else. You've got to figure out what it takes for you to be a happy and fulfilled person, and nobody can do that for you. No significant other, no partner, no relationship is going to fulfill you. You've got to be fulfilled in yourself. You've got to figure out a way to get happy yourself so that you can come to a relationship or that you can come to something from a place of feeling good. And that's what's going to make that thing successful, is because you're already fulfilled, you're already happy, and everything that you're doing is just an addition to that. So step one, go get happy. Go enjoy yourself. Go figure out how to have fun and be a fulfilled person. And that's your purpose first and foremost. And once you sort that out, everything else will be a lot easier.
Excellent answer, Ezra. And was there anything that was holding you back from becoming the successful entrepreneur that you are today?
Hey, Carrie, what was holding me back from being a successful entrepreneur when I first got started? I'm asking my wife. She would know better than me. You could just come say it into the microphone if you want, or you can just tell me. Yeah, like what? Like, why am I successful now? And like, when I first started out, I wasn't. Like, what was the thing that was holding me back? Was it just like I had too much ego and was too vain and like too worried about what other people thought of me? No. Okay.
It was that your view was short.
My view was short. I was not taking a long view of what it means to build. I was looking for short plays rather than long plays. That's the thing I was talking about earlier, where I wasn't adding any value. I wasn't looking at building anything sustainable. I was just looking at hustling. All I knew was hustling. I was a hustler, right? So I knew how to like make a quick dollar. Can you hear her, by the way, when she talks?
Yeah, I can hear her a little bit. Okay. She's got a lot to say.
Okay, go ahead. Right here, you're in the podcast now.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
Ezra was kind of like enthralled by his newfound skill of being able to make money online, and that kind of blinded him from seeing the depth of what he could create. It was kind of like, oh my gosh, this cool new thing. Whoa, how can I like play around with this and make some money and like test this thing and test that thing, as opposed to looking at what content he actually wanted to put out into the world and what type of business he wanted to create for the long haul. And so once his focus shifted from, oh, cool, I can make some money, to, wow, I can serve the world and help people, then that's when he really started to become successful and started to really have a true sense of who he wanted to be as an entrepreneur and a business owner.
That was really good, babe. Thanks.
All right. Well, that's the first time that's ever happened. I ask you a question and your wife comes in and answers. That's good. And I think there's something to be learned there. It's like you learned how to make money and you were going after the money, but behind you, you didn't have a why. Like you didn't have an understanding of why you were doing what you did, except for going after money. And now you've come to the conclusion almost that now it's about helping people. And like your quote in the beginning, serving the world unselfishly.
Right. Right. And it makes sense that you're coming from a place of pain. You just want to make some money quickly. But really, it's the hunter versus the farmer. My friend James Schramko talks about this. If you're hunting, you're going out there and you're trying to spear a fish every day. If you're farming, you're planting seeds that grow into a tree that fruit for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years to come. So I was out there hunting and I learned how to farm.
Yeah, that's a great analogy about entrepreneurship, farmer, hunter. And I'm still kind of cracking up about your wife coming on.
Yeah, dude, you want to hear the real shit, just talk to my wife, bro. She's going to tell you the truth.
Yeah. I bet, yeah, she delivered some good information. I bet she was kind of holding back. She's like, "Oh, that's enough. I'll have to stop."
Yeah, she should really be doing this interview.
All right, speaking of special people, can you name a person who's had a large impact on your life? What did he or she say to you that really just kind of touched you?
I think that in the context of this podcast, I think at least over the last year, the guy who's had the most intense impact on my life from a work perspective has been James Schramko. He runs a business called superfastbusiness.com where he shares his research and tips and business, behind the scenes of his businesses with the community and stuff like that. And he's really shown me how to engage with a group of people and in the form of content. So he's a brilliant businessman and brilliant content marketer. And he, the model that I've used for my website and my mastermind and my blog and my services agency all came from him. We've done a lot of coaching and mentoring together, and he's really guided me through this process of becoming someone who shares their content and their viewpoints and their ideas with the community through podcasts and stuff like that. Before that, I was just an e-commerce business owner, and I wasn't really a guy who shared my research and content and stuff like that with a group of people. And over the past year with his coaching, I've become very, very successful and very, very good at that. And I don't have all the different things he said to me, but I think that he is a brilliant person to learn from if you're interested. Well, I mean, if you have any desire in online business, but specifically if you want to learn how to share messages with a group of people and engage people in content and that kind of thing, there's nobody better.
All right, Ezra, and what are your 3 most influential books and why?
3 most influential books and why? Wow, that's a tough one. I think that one of the first books that I read that really got me was a book called Breaking Loose from the Money Game. I read it at the same time that I read Cash Flow Quadrant, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich, and The Millionaire Mind, and all those kind of books that were about concepts around how you view money. But there was one called Breaking Loose from the Money Game. I really started to think about money differently. I always thought of money as energy, as this thing that just kind of flows. It has no intrinsic value. You trade it for things that you believe are valuable. It's just like paper. But that book really got me, Breaking Loose from the Money Game. I'm having a hard time coming up with any. Oh, all the Gladwell book. I just love Malcolm Gladwell, and I love his writing style. Outliers, Tipping Point. Just every book that guy writes, I think, is just a must read. So I think Breaking Loose from the Money Game around mindset. Gladwell just for fun business stuff to inspire the way that you think. And then as far as tactical, technical, strategic, there's a book called The One Thing that I just read a few months ago. That's really changed the way that I think about business. I still have a hard time with it, but really what they talk about is that you can only really do one thing at a time, and that you've got to focus on one thing and get the ball moving on that and really put energy into that, and then stop that and move on to whatever the next thing you want to put energy on. That multitasking doesn't really exist, and that you really should have one thing that you're putting your attention on at a time. And it's just a brilliant book to have you stop feeling overwhelmed. It's the overwhelm cure. So if you feel overwhelmed, read this book called The One Thing. It's great.
The Gladwell books are truly all must-reads, and Busting Loose or Breaking Loose from the Money Game is something I haven't heard of, so I'll be looking into that one. And The One Thing, yeah, you got to focus on just one thing, go all in, make it happen. And Ezra, what are 2 or 3 life skills that you need to succeed in your field?
Okay, life skill number 1, be nice. This is all you need. What people want from you is they want your attention. They want you to notice them, and they want you to be nice, right? So if you can notice people genuinely take your attention off of yourself and notice what's going on with other people around you and be interested in them. So they want your attention and your interest. And if you can figure out how to be interested in other people and genuinely put attention on other people with no goal or agenda, and you can figure out how to be nice, you will be very successful. That's really all you need, is to be nice, to be present, and to be interested.
Well said, Ezra. And right now listening, I would say there's a large majority of guys who want to build an online business, or they maybe possibly have tried in the past, or they might even be struggling right now with an online business or website. What advice do you have for those guys who are entry level, or they're really struggling to get their online business going?
Yeah, I think that step one is really to just consume tons of content and information to kind of have you fully understand what it is you're trying to do. And what I mean by that is, what kind of a business model do you want? Do you want to sell services? Do you want to sell physical products? Do you want to engage people in content and make them offers like coaching and consulting and that kind of thing? Like really, what do you want to do? And then from there, how do you intend to do it? And I think that the first thing I'd recommend is just consuming a bunch of content related to this particular industry so that you can figure out what types of businesses that you want to be in. I've got a couple courses that are free. I've got a conversion course on my blog. I've got a content marketing course on Shopify's e-commerce university. Superfastbusiness.com has some great courses and stuff. So I'd recommend that you first educate yourself, read books, read all the mindset books, and start consuming content on Facebook ads and different types of business models to kind of immerse yourself in the language, because you're learning a new language. And then from there, step one, after you feel like you've acquainted yourself with the language, you've consumed some content, you've read some books, and you're feeling comfortable and like you kind of understand this model of doing your own thing, pick a business model. Pick either physical products, number one, so you're creating your own physical products, services, so you're doing some kind of a service for other people. Maybe it's design, maybe it's development, maybe it's you do lead generation and marketing and advertising for other businesses. So physical products, services, coaching and consulting, and content marketing. So like you engage groups of people with content and then make them offers like coaching or consulting or community or events or whatever. Or maybe you have some kind of a services business that you want to market in more of a traditional sense. You want to sell your own massage therapy services or your own photography services or whatever. And when I say services, there's multiple types of services business. You could be a guy who helps yoga studios get more students by setting up Facebook ads and Google AdWords for them, right? So you got to figure out what it is that you'd like to create, what kind of business model you want. That's really the first step.
Perfect. I think that does help some of the guys out there trying to build their online businesses. And for some of those links that you mentioned, that'll all be in the show notes for the listeners. And Ezra, what do you think is one underrated characteristic that you think everyone should work on and it would provide massive results and benefit into their life?
Okay, underrated characteristic is doing what it takes to take care of yourself. So like, there are a lot of things that go into taking care of yourself. You need to do things to feel good in your body. Perhaps that's stretching a couple days a week. Perhaps that's a certain type of diet. Like if you feel like shit in your body, then you're hosed. You don't have energy. You're tired all the time. You're puffy. You're like not sexy, right? If you feel good in your body, you're more confident in the world. So like do what it takes to feel good in your body. And there's not a lot of people paying attention to that. So that's something that you really want to have attention on. And that's like you are actually serving the world by taking care of yourself, because like you'll feel better and you'll be happier if you do that. And then there's what does it take for you to be mentally stimulated, right? What does it take for you to be happy and fulfilled on a personal level? Is that maybe it's some more bro time if you're not getting enough bro time. Maybe it's more engagement in things that you're interested in. Like perhaps you're into like different types of sports or different types of mental games, or who knows what it is that you're into. But I think that fundamentally the skill set that you should work on to start with is figuring out how to be a happy person. And you've got to look at all the different sides of that. Perhaps you need a certain amount of rest in order to feel good in your life. You need a certain amount of sleep. You need to change your sleep-wake cycle. You need to eat a different diet. You need to have some more fun, or I don't know what it is for you, but there's a lot of, I would say most people are not putting enough attention on their own pleasure and fulfillment, because we're sold in society that like that's a bad thing to do and that comes after you work really hard and all that.
I like that. So be healthy physically and mentally. And with that, you're going to be able to produce a lot more effective results. All right, Ezra, and the next question, if you had to give a recent college grad any piece of advice, what would that be?
I'd tell them not to go to college in the first place. I think that's a way.
Like, what did you do? You just wasted your time.
Yeah,
let's explore this topic briefly.
Well, like you get what you want from people who have it. So if you want to learn how to build an internet marketing business, you find someone like me who's actually doing that, who can teach you how to do it. If there's something you're looking for in college, like you want to become a doctor or a lawyer, or you've got a specific profession, awesome, go for it. But if you're just going to college to take 4 years of avoiding being responsible for your life and you're going to come out in debt $100,000, I think that's a stupid mistake. Like a bunch of my friends who went to college, I didn't go to college, right? Because I couldn't figure out what it was that I wanted from that experience other than that there were a lot of women there and that looked exciting to me. They came out of 4 years of college in debt 50 or 100 grand, and I had a business and I was not in debt. So like, I think that higher education has become a business model, and it's not for the benefit of the students, and that people get hosed by spending all this money going to college and they don't come out and they're not able to get jobs. So I think that you should be careful with that, and you should look at what you actually want out of that experience. And perhaps it's not worth 100 grand to you or whatever.
Yes, this is actually a really good discussion and topic that's come up a number of times on this podcast. But let's say somebody does graduate from college. What kind of advice would you give them?
I'd tell them that they're not wrong and that they don't need to be fixed, and that there's like nothing inherently sinful or bad about them, and that society and society will sell them all the ways that they are incompetent and all the ways that they are like not good enough, so that you will buy all this shit. Like, you stink, buy deodorant. You have wrinkles, put Botox in your skin. Like, they'll tell you all this stuff about how you're fucked up, and that's not actually true. And like, if you buy into that, you're hosed, because then it's a never-ending cycle of consumption and consumerism. But if you're willing to like feel good about who you are as a person and not buy into all these ways that people are selling you that you are coming up short, then you'll have a much more fulfilled life.
That's great advice for just anybody in general, not just college grads. And that just leads to the next question. Ezra, what's your philosophy on life and success?
My philosophy is that success is not wealth. What is success? Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success? Well, I define success like, am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I enjoying my life? That's success to me. So like, what does it take to make that happen for you? And that's what success is, right? It's not about like wealth creation. Like, look at all these people who have tons of money and are miserable. You don't want to be like those people. Like, most people who have a lot of money are somewhat miserable because they have the golden shackles and they're like tied to this job that they work 100 hours a week. And who cares if they've got a ton of money? They don't have any time to enjoy themselves. Like, what is success? Well, it's being fulfilled and happy. And so what does it take for you to do that? It takes for you, it takes being engaged in your life. So what are the things you enjoy doing, and how can you set your life up so that you're engaged in those?
Those are some great words of wisdom right there, Ezra. And do you have any last parting piece of guidance for the thousands of listeners right now?
Go forth and enjoy. Go be happy, go be nice to people. Go do good things for your friends and your community and your world, and like go figure out how to have some fun and feel good about yourself, and go work hard on the things that you're interested in, and work smart by consuming information before you jump into things. Go learn about what other people did before you go and get started, so that you have some context on what's worked in that area before you go for it. You're not just going to run up into a jiu-jitsu tournament. You're going to go train for 6 months first. You're going to learn about that thing before you go and compete. So go educate yourself on the things you're interested in.
All right, Ezra, that concludes the knowledge round. So what's exciting you today? Like, what gets you up in the morning?
I mean, my whole life. You hear my wife? I wake up in the morning, I'm really excited to be next to her. So like, my world is good, man. And this kind of stuff, talking to you, listener, this is what wakes me up. This is what I'm excited about. But I have a lot of things that I'm excited about. I'm quite excited about all areas of my life.
I love hearing that, Ezra, and you've worked really hard for that. Ezra, go ahead and give yourself a plug so all the listeners can get in contact with you.
Yeah, check me out. smartmarketer.com is my website. I have a podcast called thinkactget.com, which is what you think determines how you act, which results in what you get, about mindset and lifestyle and entrepreneurship. So thinkactget.com, smartmarketer.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd love to hang out with you more on my blog and stuff.
All right, Ezra, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your time with the Knowledge for Men community, your life lessons, your story. I really appreciate this.
Thanks, bro.
All right, and there you have it. That's going to wrap up episode 42 with Ezra Firestone of Smart Marketer. All right, it's been a long journey, and I'm really happy to bring the podcast blueprint to life, where I share all the secrets and strategies I use to grow my podcast, how I acquire high-profile guests, and earn money doing this. Everything that I know, it's delivered. I don't hold anything back in the podcast blueprint. It's been 200 plus hours in the making, and I bring you 8 plus hours of video podcast training. Imagine being in the ears of thousands of people every day and interviewing some of your favorite authors and speakers and getting paid to do it. It's just insane, and I can't believe this is reality since I launched only in November 2013. So check out the podcastblueprint.com, and of course, I have a discount for my listeners of my podcast. Use promo code KNOWLEDGE and save $25. Again, that's thepodcastblueprint.com and use promo code KNOWLEDGE and you'll save $25 off. I hope to see you there, and let's just get learning. Let's start impacting thousands, if not millions of lives through podcasting, and let's make a movement. I want to help you. I'll see you there. Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast show. It's been a pleasure having you be a part of a thriving community of men who want to crush it in all aspects of life. I'm on a mission here to inspire millions of guys, and with your help, we're going to make a dent in the universe. Check out knowledgeformen.com for a ton of free content that's designed to help you live a remarkable life. Again, that's knowledgeformen.com. I hope to see you there. And always remember, 2014 is the official year of the crush, where we take action to get the life we've always dreamed of. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, and until next time, let's do it.